So we get started. Welcome back to people who are coming back from yesterday. So our speaker for today is Dr. Now from University of Idaho. So I'll give a brief introduction before he takes the stage. Now is a professor of agricultural and extension education and is the associate director for extension at University of Idaho. So before joining this job last year, Now worked as an agriculture agent, so our farm advisor version, and he was also an evaluation consultant with the University of Wisconsin Extension for 7 years. He was involved in developing and implementing agricultural extension programs at the county level. As an evaluation consultant with the state level evaluation leadership and support team, he taught workshops on evaluative thinking, which he will be presenting today, evaluation design, measuring program impacts from extension programs. So he taught these to extension colleagues, extension educators. Currently at Idaho, he provides mentoring/coaching to extension educators and specialists in Idaho to develop individualized evaluation techniques based on their programming needs. Before coming to the United States, Now worked in Nepal as an agricultural extension officer for 10 years and also as an assistant soil scientist for 4 years before that. So Now is the recipient of University of Wisconsin Colleges and University of Extension Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Community Engagement and Research Excellence Award from Iowa State University for his dissertation research. So please help me welcome Dr. Now today, and he will present how he is going to do it today and then start. Yeah.
Vikram, some water bottle.
Yeah, I guess.
Thank you, Vikram, for the nice introduction. I believe that is that is the best introduction I ever had. I put a little bit of time on this. I've been teaching this for about 8 years. And when it came to California, I thought I often focus in flow of this story. While I write my journal articles or my present. So I have tried to build this presentation in this spiral manner. So the next slide will be just on the previous slide. Please hold your questions until the last when I finish presentation. I strongly believe most of your questions that come in the beginning will be answered throughout the presentation. One more time, I would like to repeat it again. Most of the presentation, the curriculum I have built in this over the years is based on previous slide to the next slide. So it builds thoroughly one after the other. So I don't believe you will get confused. And I'm presenting evaluative thinking a little from different perspectives. You might have been doing evaluation for a while, but this part of the presentation will be a little different. So you have it may put you a little bit in your thinking process. And you may think sometime, oh, I have been doing that, why didn't I think about it? So with that, welcome once again. In the last 8 years when I have been teaching evaluation, many times people ask me one question, most of the people, where should I begin the process when I'm thinking evaluative? For many people, it has been a daunting task where to begin the process. Even experienced educators have the same question. I ask them, think right from your personal lives. Do you start evaluation at the end while you are doing your day-to-day activities, or you think evaluatively with several questions in your mind at the beginning? So let's see. Evaluation is a basic human behavior. Subconsciously, unknowingly, we think about it in our day-to-day life. Without thinking evaluatively, you cannot survive. Neither you will be happy. We need to put personal life's evaluative experience connected formally with the professional life's evaluation with a systematic process and the scientific method. Let's take some few examples from the personal lives. While you were buying your grocery last week, what evaluative questions came in your mind? Number one, was it cost effectiveness? Was it nutrition? Was it healthy food? And then, did you go and on the way to Walmart, you grab whatever the grocery you have, came back, cook it, and then evaluate after that, or you thought several times, I have a child at home, he doesn't like this one, I would like to see the nutrients, I would like to see the sugar content. You think a lot, right? Those kind of evaluative questions comes in your mind. What problem you wanted to solve when you were buying your last car? Did you buy it to drop your disabled child to the school, or did you buy it to commute to the work? What was your objective buying that car? What goal you wanted to achieve? And after you buy the car, after you bought the car, after a few months, did you evaluate for its mileage experience? How much mileage you are going to get from the gas? Did you evaluate your thought process about comfortable riding? Did it fit your needs? Before you bought the car, did you talk to your family members, your friends, your spouse, your family, any other people, your neighbors? They are your stakeholders because they have a stake in your life, in your happiness, and in your money, in your financial situation of the life. Right? Let's take one more example. Those people coming from Sacramento before to get here, before selecting your particular route, what did you evaluate? I'll leave a little early from the home, get through the green light belt right from the middle of the downtown. There is a green light belt. Once you enter in the first green light, several green lights will be green throughout that downtown. Once you got in the middle of the town, you thought possibly there will be high traffic, so I'm going to change my route. You got into a highway to get here. That is your formative evaluation because you change the process. Think about it.
So what is formative?
Become try to give me hard time, right? Yeah. So it is a process, when you change your process during the evaluation, that is your formative evaluation, very simple. Then once you got here, did you have a time to park your car in a safe place? So that nobody will break it or nobody will throw the car out of the place? Did you have a time to grab a coffee? Did you have a time to go to restroom and refresh yourself? Did you have a time to get here without any rush? And did you evaluate that once you get here? That is your summative evaluation. But once you start this process, once you are here, that is different part of your evaluation. It's different evaluation because you started how I'm going to select the particular route. Right? With that, we all think evaluatively in our personal life. Many of the times we don't know, or we think way before. After we do our personal life's activities, we think later on. So formative and summative evaluation is going on continuously in our life. Would anybody is willing to share their personal lives evaluative experience with this class, 1 or 2 people. Anybody will feel comfortable. How did you think evaluative in the last few weeks? Could be anything. If you don't have example, you cannot think, that's okay, but would anybody like to volunteer? Please. Yeah.
So I recently moved to a new home.
Okay.
So right away my mind went to, is my room clean enough? How did the previous tenant leave the room? How much is the rent, utilities? Is it the price that I was told? So yeah.
So she thought before moving in. So most of the time in personal life we think evaluatively beforehand, right? Anybody else would like to share their example before I get into the topic?
So before signing for this, like Max PDA and this training,
Yes.
I evaluated what benefits I will get out of attending this conference or workshop or training.
Or you might have gone through the blurb or flyer Bikram sent you through. What are the contents this guy is going to cover, right? And then you connected with your personal program activities you are going to do or you are doing in your life. And then you thought, okay, it's worth of time going to all the way driving to UC Davis. Let's take on one, we talk about personal life example. This is very nice, fun example from professional life. See, this is from program evaluation and extension. I collected from few people. Great communication, excellent training from an expert, very detailed, great visuals, practical and theoretical information throughout the presentation. Much more informative than any book or internet. Excellent workshop. Always a great time with food. Look forward to the next one. For the food or for the program, I don't know. What the person wanted to say, right? So this presentation is mainly limited to the likability and satisfaction from the people who participate. Was it a thoughtful evaluation? Or the evaluator or the programmer, did he or she understand what information we were trying to gather? Can we conduct even better evaluation, thinking evaluatively and incorporating that evaluative thinking right from the needs assessment? Can you do that? So before moving further, let me thank UC Davis for the opportunity to be here to present this workshop. I appreciate Dr. Kondinia for all his efforts to organize this. I'm very grateful to Dr. David Campbell for his support for this workshop. Marilyn and Faye has done a lot of work to bring me here from Human Ecology Department. And finally, please accept my deep gratitude for all of you. Despite your busy schedule and despite having so many opportunities in your life, you thought, I'm going to listen to this. I'm very grateful and I mean it. My flying all the way from University of Idaho, when I saw this crowd, I thought it's worth it. So how am I going to present? I'll start with why some current methods may not generate correct information in evaluation we are looking for. Evaluation does not come out of the blue. If there is a program, then only there is evaluation. If you don't have program, you don't have any kind of intervention, no evaluation, right? Then I'll talk how to operationalize that evaluative thinking with real world examples. Some of the real world examples from California. Then I'll engage you in a short workshop to practice your evaluative thinking. And I have 7 different scenarios, they are here. And those scenarios are for 4-H agents, ag agents, then it is for community development. This is a situation for family living agent, situation for school district 4-H again, ACE, adverse childhood experience in California, and then the impaired water quality in Lake Tahoe. So I have a situation for all of you. You can grab whichever you fits better for you. I want to cover all parts of the life. So I'll go through that. It's a very short workshop and that'll give you some idea to think you got evaluatively, practice your own evaluative thinking. Then I thought a little bit how needs can be categorized, types of needs, and I'll include latent needs, how we don't think about it, and it is happening in day-to-day life. I'll bring some example from California. Then I'll end up with the definition of evaluative thinking in the literature, and we'll have enough time for Q&A. You can take as long as time you want. Have a 1:30 appointment. You can leave me before at 1:20 and we can talk for a long time about that. So let's talk about it. One of the ways we evaluate, one of the ways that we think evaluatively is pathway analysis. And this is a very popular example. Followed, implemented around the United States, people in the county and people in the cities have a high concern. Either you talk about Folsom Lake, either you talk about Lake Tahoe, you talk about San Francisco Bay Area, people have a very high concern about it. Nutrient management, environmental degradation, water quality. So I brought that example, I thought you can resonate with it. So I was directly involved in this program in Wisconsin when I was working as a farm advisor, designing, implementing, facilitating, teaching, evaluating this program. And then the goal was maintain high level of production and maintain the environment with the optimal use of plant nutrients. That was the goal. So this pathway analysis shows that farmers have a need, they participate in the nutrient management training, increase their knowledge and skills, develop a nutrient management plan. Every state has a nutrient management plan policies. Usually it's called 590 policies in NEFA and federal guidelines as well. And if there are any farm advisors, very popular 590 nutrient management guidelines, you just tell them, they will understand. And then adopt the nutrient management plan on the farm. But I found there is a huge gaps in nutrient management plan development and adoption. Farmers were developing the plan to submit it to the Department of Land Conservation and get a $7 credit, that's all. They will get $7 tax credit. I didn't know. For the first 5 years, gone. I started to realize after 3 years. You know why? Because I followed what previous educators had done. I never looked to see if there was even a problem. And that is how most of the educators we hire, probably they do. I'm not talking about the people in California because Californian people are very intelligent. I'm talking about those people who are not here, from other states. So pathway analysis cannot tell you what is the reason that farmers did not adopt the nutrient management plan. And pathway analysis, to explain it further, let's talk about logic model. Pathway analysis, usually we get it through two ways. One, from the pathway analysis, from the statistical analysis, or in our day-to-day life, if we don't think about that, we go with, take the pathway analysis from logic model. That's a linear model, right? We believe we have a certain programs, people participate, we'll produce with some tangible product, and that becomes output. So for those who are new to the logic model, it has a components called situation, inputs, outputs, and outcomes. Outputs are tangible and direct product of activities plus participation. Outcomes are results, changes as a result of program activities on the lives of the people. That's the outcome. This emphasizes planning, it shows that planning starts from the back and evaluation from the beginning. That's the logic model style. And this part before the output is the efficiency. We measure efficiency because this is all about the process. And this part is the outcome. We measure effectiveness. As I said, I'll build that little bit detail in my further presentation about thinking, evaluating in a further slide. Logic model emphasizes that activities are the actions needed to meet the program objectives. Very interesting. I've been teaching logic model for about more than 8 years. And I taught that in Wisconsin. We all realize it says activities are the actions that they are needed to meet your program objectives. But we don't have a program objective in the logic model. We emphasize the intended outcomes. Right? Selecting your program activities and long-term outcomes solely based on intended outcome could be misleading. It may take your car off the road and into the field abruptly. To make sure that, let me repeat one more time. Selecting your program activities and long-term outcome based on intended outcomes could be misleading until you have done in-depth gap analysis of the current situation. Logic model does not describe the gap analysis, which I'm going to talk in my further presentation for your evaluative thinking. Most of the time, when I taught or you go to the logic model presentation, we assume there is a problem, that's why we are doing the program, but major focus of the logic model presentation starts at the resources and ends with the outcomes. We forget the first part of the situation part and how that is connected to your evaluative thinking, the context part. Right? Here I would like to give you a very little bit of heads up. Logic model has been developed through so many things. Log frame, Bennett's hierarchy, and basically it is also based on the CIPP model. If you really pay attention, context, input, process, and product. That's what logic model is. And the CIPP model was developed by Daniel Staffelbeam. So what is the best way we can incorporate evaluative thinking right from the needs assessment? Remember, evaluation does not come out of the blue. If there is no program, there is no evaluation, right? So let's talk next half hour, 25 minutes about needs assessment. You have to understand those if you want to understand the evaluative thinking. And then we go to the real world example that connect you best. Kaufman et al. Said, I would like to read, this is a definition. Needs assessment is the process of identifying needs as gaps between current and desired results, placing those needs in priority order based on the cost to meet each need versus cost of ignoring it, and selecting the most important opportunity or solution to eliminate or reduce the problem. Let's say needs assessment emphasizes 3 actions. It identifies gaps in results rather than gaps in the process, compares cost of reducing each gap versus ignoring it, and it analyzes the value of alternative solutions so we can make informed decisions. It focused on 2 major areas. First, the results you want to accomplish, the goal. Let me ask you tell me one more time. It has the 2 major focus. Number 1, first and the foremost, results you want to accomplish. Second, the activities, the solution that needed to achieve the goal. Most of the time in our professional life, what we do, we have a problem, we run to the solution. we even never think that what is our end goal, what we want to achieve. Solving that problem and finding those solutions. So most of the flawed decision-making process focuses first on the activities or solution to solve a problem rather than the end results. And this will come again and again, how it has an effect. Then what is the gap? You have the result of the current situation, where you are at. Right? Then you think, if I use the best practices, what will be desired results? The difference between these two are the gaps. You have a current situation and results. What are the results of the current situation? It will come with the real world examples later on. And if I'm going to use the best practices, what would be the end results of my best practices? The distance is the gap. Think about it. Oftentimes we see gap as the weaknesses. But it has so many advantages. First, if there is a gap, it helps us to define a goal, the end goal we want to achieve. Second, it helps us to identify the opportunity, the solution, the needs, to minimize that gap and reach that end goal, right? Third, it will help us to make informed decisions. We have a so many needs assessment. This, which one is the best? And then, the best thing is, I have a problem, right? I want to have a solution. I never think what I want to achieve, solving that problem. Problem is solved, I'm done. So you cannot monitor your progress between here. If you have a current situation, you have an end goal here, problem you want to solve to minimize the gap, how well you could minimize that gap, you can monitor the progress because end goal is your criteria here, right? So this is what gap provides us. Then what is the problem? This will be very interesting. Oftentimes people get a little confused with problem and needs, so I want you to pay a little bit more attention. And when examples will come, resonate with that very well. I want you to do that. A barrier that keeps you from accomplishing the goal. That's your problem. It is something negative, needs to be solved. And the word problem is connected with the word solution. Remember all this. If you don't have a solution, your current situation is not a problem. We need to have a flip phone. And we didn't have a smartphone. A smartphone was your solution because you can glean your information pretty faster, the way you like, wherever you are. But when you didn't have that and you only have a Nokia phone or some flip phone just for voice, that is your real world situation. You have to live with it. That's not a problem because you didn't have a solution. So there is no solution, that's not a problem. That's the reality of your life, you have to survive it. Right? So what is the problem? And what is the needs? What is the difference? We often get confused. Read it. It's really nicely written. A problem is a challenge that is looking for a solution expressed as a need. And a need is what an organization hopes to find a solution to solve a problem. Let me read it a little different. A need is a solution that an organization is hoping to solve a problem. And how both of them works. In our real world example, when we are going to thinking evaluatively, comes in our example, it comes in our slides further. Let's take a personal life's example of a problem. You are traveling to UC Davis to attend this conference and you found on the way road closed for next 20 miles. Is that a problem? Yes, that is a problem because what is your problem then? The blocked road keeping you from reaching to UC Davis, that's the problem. You can say it a little differently. how can I get to UC Davis to attend this conference with the blocked road is my problem. And what is your need? Identify alternative ways to get to UC Davis. That's your need. What could be the solution for that need? Need is an option that gives you various solutions and asks you to select among them. You can just, if you are coming from Oakland and road is blocked somewhere on the way, you can call a helicopter and reserve the helicopter right away. That is your one of the options, right? You can do that. Or you can park your car somewhere else and go to the nearest gas station and ask them if there is an option that you can rent a car or you can call a car. Or if your friend is close to you, you can ask your friend. Depends on your resources and time and which one of these three works best for you, you can do. If you have money, you can rent a helicopter. We'll be there in a few moments. So that's your need. You have an alternative solution for the needs, and you have to select one of them from the best option available for you. You got it? Next, what is want? A want is one step up in the order from the needs. It is something that people desire to have, but is not required. One of the important things to know about want is want could be a possible solution for your latent need, which I'm going to talk towards the end. It could be a possible solution. So when I'm talking about wants and needs, let's see Maslow's hierarchy, 1954. Maslow said, your lower need must be satisfied before higher can be addressed. If you are here, this could be your want. If you are here, your basic need, if you think that's your need, this could be your want. So Maslow says your basic needs must be satisfied before you can move to the higher one. And I say your program should be based on the needs, not on the want. So if you see growing from the childhood, some of your friends may say, I don't have a job to make my living, but I need a car to commute to the job. No, that's not your need. You need a car, that's not your need, because you need a job first to make a living. Right? Once you have a job, you have a different option. Go through your needs assessment. You can go via train, you can commute via bus, you can commute via plane if you have. And do you know in Germany, one of the guy was swimming 5 miles because of the traffic in the city to go to the work. I think it was Germany or London last year it was in the New York Times. Could be an option. You don't need a car right now, you need a job to make your living. But people say, I don't have a job to make a living, but I need a car to come into the job. No, you don't need the car right now. That's your want. You say, I need a car, but that is your want. What you need is, you need a job now. Right? Now, how can we operationalize our evaluative thinking? I'm still not moving to the real world example. I have a little bit some more slide to give you. What I'm going to talk to you now is applicable to any field. It can be applicable to any of the program areas. It can be applicable to any field you go, any science and technology field, any field. These are the techniques we often use. So let's see how we can operationalize evaluative thinking. Where the advisor should begin. I told you at the beginning, I've been teaching it for 8 years, and many times, most of the time, people come and ask me, where should I begin? You say, where do you want to begin? Read your job description and understand your role. Once we sign the contract throughout, and then we're running behind the people, what should be my program focus? Start from your job description. Your job description is written with so much efforts involving your stakeholders, doing a visioning session, conducted with so many stakeholders, and your job descriptions are written. So focus on your job and understand your role and determine the focus of your programming. There is also an initial focus mentioned in your job description. for anyone, for advisors, for professors, for any technician, there is a focus mentioned, focus on that. And then fine, once you focus, this is my, nutrient management is my focus, healthy living is my focus, nutrient and healthy food and nutrients is my focus. Understand? Then understand what is the current community situation in that focus. Find it. References, stakeholders, reports, find it, right? And then decide what results you want to achieve, where you want to be. And who decides that? What is the process to decide where you want to be? Why it is important for you to achieve this? Until you answer that question, don't move forward. If you don't have an answer, change your focus, go to another program. Let's see how it works again with the nutrient management training, a very concerned area for everyone in the United States. They are in urban area, or they are in rural area, they are in the city, they are in the towns, everybody has a concern. So once you start as a farm advisor in extension, you first start with the data, number of farms, types of production practices adopted by the farmers, soil types, the slope of the land, erosion, water bodies, lakes, rivers, or any other water bodies, right? Farms under the nutrient management plan. It's a federal law. You have to follow through. Right? Once you go there, then you found 30% of the farms in a yellow county are using a nutrient management plan. That's what you found. Do you remember I told you the gap? Result of the current situation and result where you want to be as a result of the best practices. That's the gap. So let's see the real world example here. Analyze the result of the current situation. Increasing soil erosion and loss of topsoil. Increasing phosphorus and decreasing water quality. Increasing environmental concern. Increasing input cost and decreasing marginal returns from the production. That's the current situation. Then you want to ask, is that good enough? Let me say one more time. Once you analyze your current situation, you want to ask a question, is that good enough? If that is not the good enough, then what is your end goal? Increase percentage of the farms using nutrient management plan to 50%. Again, who decides that and how you are going to decide that? Let's put that for the question and answer session. This gap is your need. And the gap analysis is the needs assessment. Very simple. Right? So how you connect your evaluative thinking with the needs assessment? Needs assessment starts with the problem analysis. Problems are translated into the needs. Needs are translated into the program objectives. Program objectives are translated into educational intervention, educational activities, program activities, and based on the program objectives and educational intervention will determine your intended outcomes. Let me repeat one more time. If you understand this concept, it will be lifelong learning for you. Needs assessment starts with the problem analysis. Problems are translated into the needs. Needs are translated into program objectives. Based on program objectives, you determine two things. What educational intervention you need and what your intended outcome is. Needs informs solution, and once you have a solution in your hand, you can determine what the target group looks like. And I have an example for this, a real world example that I'm going to resonate it with you from California situation. Maybe the situations are next to your home, it is your county, maybe your downtown. So let's see how it works. If that is the case, then how we can think evaluatively in our day-to-day life, connecting to our programming, how we are going to connect it. So let's think about it. How I'm going to think evaluatively in practice, in my programming, in my day-to-day life, in the county, or in any office I work with, right? So let's see how it works. Evaluation is a developing criteria, gathering evidence, and making judgments. If you understand these three things, you can evaluate any program in the world. You don't have to be the expert on that. You can ask people and you can develop evaluation plan for it. Now see how it works. The criteria are the measures which allow you to make the judgment about your program outcomes. It could be the criteria could be program objective, evaluative questions, or your intended outcomes. Evidence are the data you collect matching your criteria, relevant to your criteria, to help make the judgment, right? And to collect those data, you use variety of measuring tools. You can do survey, you can do interview. In some of the cases, you can do observation. You can do reports, you can do records. Judgment about your program outcomes are made based on the evidence you collected, matching those criteria, program objectives, matching the criteria of your intended outcomes or evaluative questions. Right? There are three kinds of judgments you can make about your program. Number one, appropriateness. Did you meet the needs of the participants? You think about when you collect the data, matching your criteria, program objectives, then you make decision about appropriateness, telling that where participants need met. Could we able to meet that? What they learned was really important for them or not. Third, the teaching method was appropriate, the room was silent, lights were good. Process. It talks about the process, right? Helps you to make helps you to make the formative decision, but it's too late because you are going to do it at the end. Effectiveness. What people learn, the outcome from the logic that we talked about. Change in skill, change in knowledge, change in attitude, change in intention, change in action, change in behavior, change in practice. That's your effectiveness. But there is one more thing we often don't think. Efficiency. The amount of time, amount of resources you expended, was it worthwhile to those participants or to you as an institution? Was it worthwhile? That is efficiency. Mostly compare the cost and time and resources. Most of the time, we are focused on this. Not this, very little on that. Right? So three judgments: appropriateness, effectiveness, efficiency. If you understand this process, you cannot find any of the book. This is my copyright. Let's talk about this. If we talk about criteria, then what is criteria in your day-to-day programming examples. Remember the right terms, how it is used. A situation is defined. Problems are identified. Needs are assessed. Objectives are developed or determined. Programs are implemented. And this is all helps you to determine your criteria. In the life cycle of your programming, right from needs assessment to the completion of the program, how you think evaluatively. So once you do your part of implementing the programs, it only helps you to define the criteria. Not about it. So next part, outcomes are measured, results are accomplished. These are two different things. There is a difference between outcomes and results. Outcomes are measured, assessed. Results are accomplished. And that is your evidence. We talked about evidence, right? Then, problems are solved, gaps are minimized, needs are met, goals are achieved. Goals are never evaluated. Goals are achieved. Evaluation is only good to your program objectives. Don't get confused. Many times in the books, in the classroom, people are confused. Goals are achieved. Goals are not evaluated. Objectives are evaluated. Your evaluation is only good to the objectives. You achieve the goals. That is your judgment. How well, to what extent you could solve the problem. This is your current situation. This is your end results. How well you could minimize the gap. Could you minimize the gap completely? Or you still have some gaps. Gaps are minimized. How well you could meet the needs of the people. To what extent you achieve the programming goal. That's your judgment. Throughout your program period, this criteria, evidence, and judgment, you can apply in any field. Any field. Any field. Let's talk a few more things. For time, right? We talked about, I told you half hour next assessment. Now we're going to talk about real world examples. Let's see one example. How we can connect needs assessment to evaluation. Real world example. Only 20%, 28% of the citizens are using extension services in Yellow County. This is a hypothetical example though, but I don't believe nationwide the maximum we have found from the research is 36%. But we try not to look at that part. What percentage of the community citizens we are serving? Iowa had one county, they served as much as 36% of the people. That's nearly, Wisconsin has 28%. That's near 28, 35, 32. That's the range on an average. Maybe some counties, small counties are doing more. That's your situation, very simple. You don't have to look very big, understand everything. That's your situation, your context is there, easy. Only 28% of the people in the Yellow County are using University UC Davis, University of California Davis Extension Services in Yellow County. Davis is in Yellow County. Yellow County is out of the woodland, maybe 3 miles? 3 miles from woodland? Yellow County offices? Okay. Not coming?
No,
Is it powered off?
no.
Go here. There should be some. Vikram, at the time I'm talking about this, you broke it. is the best time if some of you wants to use the restroom quick. The real world example I'll start again because you understood that after the needs assessment, with all those information, we are going to apply our evaluative thinking here with 2 examples, and there will be another half hour in that. So if you want to use the restroom, this is the part you don't want to leave. Those theoretical, yes.
Will you take questions now?
So I'll check later on.
Okay.
If you have go, how long it will take? Vikram?
I don't use this.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. Catherine, I'll take your question, but why don't you use some of your restroom? I'll wait for you. Let 2 or 3 minutes break. We have a time.
I know.
Yes, it's coming.
I just have to.
It's coming. Oh, let us have the restroom though.
There's food also. If someone wants to have some food.
You're good.
Yeah.
You can just edit this part. You can edit it, right? Just edit this part and start from my start again. No, wait a minute, maybe 2 hours. I know when But it is unexpected break. We have a 5 minute break. They can provide us 5 minutes more break. That's fine. People in California are very generous. They can stay 5 minutes more if I cannot finish it. Paul, we are good, right? Paul,
I think we're good.
grab 2 more minutes let the people come into our possession.
I know, but no, like yesterday, but I'll do it. Yes, see, by the day. Yeah.
I like that.
So I think we are back, right? Can I start, Paul? Am I good to go?
You're good.
I just said, with all the information about personal life's evaluative experience, all the need assessment, and all the thinking evaluatively from need assessment to program completion with criteria, evidence, and judgment, how we are going to use that in our real world example for thinking evaluatively. The real show starts now. So let's say Yellow County has 28% of the citizens using the extension service in Yellow County. Then what is your problem? You remember I talked about needs, situation, problems, program objectives, needs, intended outcomes, intervention. Let's use it. In real world example that will resonate you, Yellow County Extension is University of California Davis Extension System. One of the counties about 18 miles, 16, 17 miles from here to this direction behind the woodland. That's what Yellow County seat is at. Yellow County seat. And that's where we have our extension office in Woodland. And only 28% of the citizens in Yellow Counties are using UC extension services where our UC Davis is situated. Right? What is your problem? Extension is the best kept secret which keeps you from serving more citizens. That's your problem. So let's define it a little bit differently. It doesn't matter you have to say the way I say. It doesn't need to. How can I find ways to, how can I get to more citizens with the extension office as a best kept secret? That's my problem. What is your problem? How can I find ways to get to the more citizens? How can I find ways to serve more citizens out of the program with the extension best kept secret? That's your problem. Extension as a best kept secret keeps you achieving serving more citizens in the county. And what is your need? Need is option for the solution. Identify alternative ways to reach more extension audience outside the program. Those who are already participating, you don't need to worry about them. They know about extension. Make sense? When the study was conducted in Iowa State, they say it is the adult education college provides degree in CALS. Many people don't know where the office is. Right? What is your program objective? Program objective is directly derived from problem and your need. We have not done that need assessment yet. We said identify alternative ways. This and this determines what your program objective is. Since I have done all that in advance, look, your program objectives should directly related to your problem to increase the citizens' awareness of available extension services in the county. Why you want to increase the awareness, knowledge, and awareness of the people? Because problem is best kept secret. So you want to make people more aware. So the objective is to solve that problem, find ways, right? And what is your educational intervention? We'll talk about that next slide. What is your intended outcome? Increase people's ability to access and utilize extension services. Your intended outcome should always a performance needs of the people. You want, as a need, change people's performance. In another word, your intended outcome should always be connected with the change in people's practice and behavior. Now, let's look how we can find intervention educational activities for this objective, solve that problem, and meet that intended outcome. Let's see. Let me remind you one more time. The best way to find is the gap analysis. Do you remember in the last slide? Your current situation, your end goal, difference is the gap, and your gap analysis is the needs assessment. So gap analysis is the problem analysis. Right? Remember, a problem is a barrier keeping you from accomplishing what you should achieve. In this case, extension as a best kept secret keeps you from serving more citizens. Remember, we said problem is a challenge that is looking for a solution as a need. A need is a solution that an organization is looking for to solve a problem. We talked about that. Please remember, I'm repeating this slide. Need help us to identify alternative solution to minimize the gap. That is deciding on appropriate educational intervention in this case. Gap analysis is the needs assessment. That's how we are going to do needs assessment through gap analysis. That's what your need clarification comes into play. Need clarification is 3A. Very easy to remember. Need articulation, need assessment, need analysis. 3A. How need assessment is done through the gap analysis. Let's see here. Need articulation is you are involving the communities and partners in your problem analysis process, understanding the current situation where you are. Remember, you can have your one judgment going through the report, asking through your colleagues, but until you can involve your stakeholders to understand what really the problem is, even you have some scenario of the problem, do you think in extension people are going to participate in the program until they believe they have a problem? You can have several judgments, but involving them, you want to find out the problem you find, want to justify, want to verify where those are the right problems you identified, or there is something new hidden, like the mistake I did. I thought farmers are in need, come to the training, develop the plan, adopt the plan on the farm. But I never looked to see, was there even a problem? They were just participating to a $7 tax credit, right? Second, once you have asked them what they need from you, then what do? You select from those varieties of needs the solutions and match with University of California, Davis vision, mission and values. You cannot do that beyond the mission. For example, many states are focusing more on health nutrition. Wisconsin has stopped working on bankruptcy education. Many states has stopped working on, they don't have any more their mission, they don't have their any more goal to work on parenting. They are moving more toward health and nutrition part. You have to match with that. Political agenda is not the mission of your university. Third, you select among those needs and match with your mission, vision, and values of UC Davis Extension, and then see what are those needs can be matched with our mission. And then third part is need analysis. Which are the most important? Am I going to work rest of the needs, the rest of the problem in next 5 years, but some of them are current and have to be solved now? Then you start allocating the resources, allocating. Neighboring counties, another department, more resources, we are going to stop this program, going to bring more resources on this. We are going to write the grant, but we want to do this program, right? So let's see, what is your mission of UC Davis Extension? To enhance quality of life and the environmental and economic well-being of the citizen of California through research and education. You cannot go beyond that mission. That's the mission of your institution. Now, let's go through our extension best kept secret and see how we are going to find out the problems, the current situation, how we build up our evaluative thinking. Extension as the best kept secret. 28% of the citizens are using extension in Yolo County. Analyze the result of the current situation. Increasing number of youth in risky behavior. Increasing debt among families with a lack of financial education. Increasing environmental concern among the citizens due to use of high chemical fertilizers and chemicals and pesticides. And this is the true data. 42% of citizens have poor nutrition and eating habit resulting in obesity and chronic disease. This is the real data from 2014. California Health Assessment Analysis. And that is one of the scenarios we have in the workshop. Federal government is asking you to meet the civil rights compliance and serve more underserved audience. The taxpayer dollars ask for accountability. We pay the tax, you have to help more and more citizens. That's what we wish. We fund the extension office. What is your end goal? increase percent of citizens using extension services to 50%. Who decides that, and what is the process that you make decision about in to go? Don't start solving the problem right here for the educational intervention. Find what you want to achieve and why you want to achieve that. I told you in the beginning, don't move forward until you answer that question. Your gap is the need. Gap analysis is the needs assessment. Let's see, what did you find? There you go. These are your gap analysis. These are your problem analysis. Gap analysis is very simple. That tells you why this is happening, why the result of the current situation is happening. Because of problem analysis, because of those things. Number one, lack of marketing using the new technology. Example, social media. Lack of enough volunteers to expand extension services. Lack of financial resources to offer more programs to the county people. You are limited in financial resources. And these are the things making you happening the result of the current situation. We talked in the last slide. Lack of organizational partners. I guess this is not the case in California though. Lack of educators with required expertise. Probably that could be one of them. Lack of educators' desire to take more accountability. I already have too much in my plate. I don't want to take more accountability doing more programs. Citizens have difficulties to register for the program and access extension services. Many times, poorest parents are confused with the online registration system. How should I get into the system? Front desk staff are not customer oriented. Many people think, when I go, it is not welcoming. I don't feel, I have a challenge to access the resources because usually people go to the offices like that, people are a little bit hesitant and fearful. How your environment is welcoming. And out of them, you matched a lot of things to your mission of UC Davis Extension. You found these are my educational intervention is going to be possible with matching my resources, matching the mission, vision, and values of UC Davis Extension. Include extension programming in social media. That's possible. I can do it. Advertise extension programming in newspapers and radio because there are two different audiences. I still have some traditional audience who look every single line in the newspaper. Conduct customer appreciation day. Very simple. Recruit volunteers. Collaborate with more partners to expand the extension programs. If you see this intervention, it will mean increase citizens' awareness of available extension services. And if you do that, increase people's ability to access and utilize extension services. This defines whether you are going to meet your program objectives or you have to change your program objectives or you are going to solve the problem or not, and then you can meet the intended outcomes. You choose, as a need assessment, you have various options. But you cannot do all of them. Maybe you want to do that after 5 years or maybe after 3 years. But these are the ones, you have resources, you have expertise, you have people, matches to your mission. Who knows, after 5 years, there will be a little bit of change in mission of the extension with the changing demographics, changing technology. So you decided this one. Now, how you are going to include this in your short-term, medium-term, and long-term outcome? You thought about your gap analysis. You thought about your results of the current situation. You thought about situation, problem, needs, program objectives, educational intervention, intended outcomes. You are full to think about your full of data. Now, how it works for the short-term outcomes. Your short-term outcomes should always be related with your program objectives. Let me go back one more time here. Increase citizens' awareness of available extension services. Once you increase that, what is going to happen is your intended outcome. So it should be always related with your program objectives. Increase citizens' knowledge and awareness of the available extension services. Right? Second, intended outcomes. Change. Increase citizens' ability. Change their behavior, change an action. Their ability should be increased so that they can access and use the extension services. You want action. That's your intended outcome always related to the intermediate outcomes, and increase. With that, you want to increase the number of citizens using extension services in your county. What is your long-term outcome? Create a community with informed people that understand and value extension services. Second, and finally, have a community of people who have a greater ability to participate in educational activities, which will ultimately change their life through increased access to extension services. Think about it. What was our problem? Lack of extension as a best kept secret. You cannot have any long-term or intermediate outcome with economically their life will be better. Think about it. Don't mislead your outcomes, please. What was your problem? I'll go one more time. It is very important in your evaluative thinking. Extension is the best kept secret which keeps you from serving more citizens. That's what your problem is now. You want to make more awareness. You don't have a people registered for the program yet. So you don't know what the program is going to make the impact on the people's life yet. You are just increasing awareness. And that all your activities should be increasing the awareness. Once people start participation, that's what I wrote it here in small. Once program offered, then the intended outcome is increased number of people adopting improved practices. You want now people to use extension services, but you don't know which program they are going to participate in. You want to tell them we have a variety of resources, come and participate, use extension services. We have a family living, we have ag, we have a community development, we have natural resources. People will participate in that. Sometimes we mislead the outcomes because we don't understand the problems really well. Once people start your program, that is second part of evaluation, how well it could increase their income. At the next step. So if you do that, these three, what is your evaluative question? This is a trick. How well did the program increase people's knowledge about extension, right? That is your short-term outcome. How well did the program increase people's ability to use extension services? That is your intermediate outcome, right? And then you want to know how many more people are now using educational services of extension. That is your evaluative question. Why did I put all in blue? So that you can design your evaluation. That is the next slide. See how it works. These all blues are your variables. Knowledge can vary before and after using pre and post test. It can vary. People change in knowledge, increase or decrease. So that's the one variable. People's ability can change. So that is a variable, we can verify it. So we can have a data about it because the numbers varies. Third is number of using educational services. People using educational services can be varied. It can go high, it can remain the same. It can go down. So let's see, with this all evaluative thinking process, how we are going to design the evaluation. So before I'm going to jump to the design slide, let's think. Then what is evaluation now? You told me about evaluative thinking. You told me about what are the evaluative questions. Then what is evaluation? Evaluation is very simple if you understand. Simple. Here you go. Evaluation measures to what extent the program achieved its objective. Remember, we said about program objective as a criteria. How well it measures to what extent it achieved its program achieved its objective to produce the intended outcome. What are your objectives? The program objectives are learning objectives that you want participants to acquire knowledge and skill as a result of your program. You only have a control over this. Today, I can only make you to increase your knowledge and skill. Provide all the basic resources. Maximum input, good environment for your learning. I don't have a control over what you are going to change or what you are going to achieve as a result of this. I don't have a control over it. You don't have a control over what participants are going to do as a result of your program. The maximum control you can have is increase their knowledge and skills. I increase the knowledge doesn't mean that I'm going to apply it. I'm interested just to know. So you only remember always, we sometimes overdo it. As an educator, you only have a control over what people are going to learn and change their skills. You don't have a control what they are going to change. That's intrinsic motivation. The psychology of behavior, behavioral psychology doesn't agree on that. It's intrinsic, coming from inside, right? Then, how evaluation is connected to the needs. Watkins and Cavell, they have a 35 years experience. Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., work in so many projects around the world. They say effectiveness of a program is, we talk throughout the presentation, how needs assessment is connected to the evaluation for evaluative thinking. Throughout the presentation, in last 1 hour, 15 minutes. At the end of the presentation, we are thinking, we are talking. How evaluation is connected to your needs now. Throughout the presentation, we said how needs are connected to the evaluation. Now I'm talking how evaluation is connected to your needs. So backward, effectiveness of a program is measured by evaluating how responsive, efficient, and effective the program was in meeting the identified needs. That's how your evaluation is connected to the needs. Right? Now say, let's see the evaluation design. Do you remember these 3 questions we talked about? Knowledge, ability, and using educational services. Now how you put in evaluation design, see this one. You have a program objectives. I only gave one example. Objectives, that's what I wrote. Program objective. Then you select, remember, once you have a program objective, wait there. Don't write several program objectives together. One program objective, wait. See, what are the educational activities you need to achieve that program objectives? Once you finish that, then next, move to the next program objective. Then, intended outcomes to be achieved from each objective, each program objective. Decide that first. What questions will the evaluation seek to answer? We talked about evaluative questions, right? How well the program could increase people's knowledge, right? Key variables that evaluation question content. We have 3 key variables in those 3 evaluative questions. Knowledge, ability, people using extension. The values varies, right? Variables is whose values varies. Simple. Now, operationalize the variables and identify indicators. So how it works? See one more slide here. Variables in evaluative questions I have are knowledge, are ability, is 3 variables, knowledge, ability, and people using educational services. Then I have a knowledge variable. Now what is my indicator? Indicators always comes in 2 forms. Number of people increase the knowledge, percentage of people increase the knowledge. The evaluation design can be whole a half a day workshop. But I'm just giving you some thought process of. You have a knowledge as a variable because your evaluative question asks how well people, to what extent people could increase their knowledge. So knowledge is a variable. Indicator is number of people increase knowledge of extension services or extension. Your data collection method, pre and post test survey, focus group and observation. May not be very useful this one, observation most of the time, but focus group, pre and post test would be the way. Usually when you work in the county, people are a little bit embarrassed if you want to ask them in the questions rather than pre and post using liquor type scale, people feel more comfortable. Don't ask them the right exam questions. People feel a little bit, well, I'm there to give, I pay the taxes and I'm there to give the exam. So usually before and after, you can say very low, low, moderate, high, very high before my knowledge in this particular area, and after same liquor type scale. Then data source, your program participants. Let's see another one, ability. Number of people increase their ability to access and use educational services. That's what in our question was. Survey, focus group plus sign-in sheet. Your office record could be another option. You look at the sign-in sheet and you see, based on the last year, my health and nutrition program has gone up in sign-in sheet. People have come to use more and more because of the awareness we did, right? Awareness program. Program participants are your data source. People using educational services. This can be true, but I will talk about this. When people are using educational services, it could be two different ways to see it. One, the current people with your awareness activities using extension more multiple times. Or number of people using the extension out of the program. Who were in the program before, we are not talking about that. They are already there. We are thinking about those people who are not currently in the program. So out of the program, how many more people were using, how many more people have been using the extension now after that program? So it is number of people using educational services. You can operationalize your variables through the indicators. And then survey, focus group, sign-in sheet, office record are the sources you can look at it, right? Now, program participants. With that, I would like to show another example to you from community development. We talked about so much extension. We have so many people from your community. Some people who are interested in community development. Declining economic resilience in California. There are so many towns and counties that were declining. Adelanto, San Bernardino County. There are several, but I'm telling some examples. Then there could be Oasis. Oasis has about 6,000, 7,000 population, and their income per capita income is $7,000, and per household income is $24,000, way before the federal government decided poverty level. So there are several towns that declining economic resilience in the America, and California is not different from any other states. The same problem there. So what is your problem? The declining economic resiliency is a barrier that keeps California rural towns from sustainable growth and vitality. That's your problem. What is your need? Identify alternative ways to mitigate the declining economic resiliency in California rural towns. That's your need. You have to identify various solutions from the needs assessment and gap analysis. What is your objective? Increase community engagement. That's what I found after looking at the problem and educational intervention. Increase community engagement for productive businesses and industry growth. That's your objective. What is your educational intervention? We are going to do gap analysis. Intended outcomes. Increase people's ability to establish diversity and growth of business and industry in California rural towns. Why I'm thinking about this as an intended outcome? Because I did needs assessment, gap analysis, and arrived this, the objective and intended outcome. So how I arrived this? Let's look at here. Before we move to the gap analysis, we have to understand from the same process 3A, need articulation, need assessment, need analysis. Is there even a problem? I never looked to see, was there even a problem in nutrient management? Farmers are not adopting it, using it for $7 tax credit. And remember, we are doing this in our day-to-day activities, in our personal life. So what is the current situation? Declining economic resilience in rural towns of California. Analyze the result of the current situation, see what is happening. Declining in just business and industry. Many towns does not have a full service town. Do you know the concept of full service town? It's a European concept, very popular in Europe and Canada. Means a place where you can find everything. You have a Walgreens, or you have any pharmacy store, you have a gas station, you have a grocery store, what you are looking for. You have a place to have an enjoyment, restaurant, and all those things. So lack of full service towns, right? High migration of youth to the larger cities in search of better future. People want to move from smaller cities, go to the big towns for education, never return back. That's a pretty big problem in the United States today, in the rural towns. Third, increasing number of people with risky behavior. Crime increases, people don't have a choice to make their living. People use drugs. Third, increasing elderly population. So all the youth move from the town and only elderly population, they want to retire, that they stay there. Fourth, lack of productive manpower for existing industry and businesses. There are some industries, either they move away or they say we are not going to stay here, we don't have a productive manpower anymore. Because youth all moved. This is your current situation. And declining family farms. People retire, youth doesn't want to go back to the family farms again, and it goes to the big farms, corporate farms, right? We create some other issue called rural-urban interface. That is another issue. Is that good enough? No, I don't think this is good enough for a rural town in California or United States. So what is your end goal, and who decides that? Increase diversity and growth of business and industry in California rural towns. That's your end goal. And you do the gap analysis. Gap analysis is a problem analysis. And you do the needs assessment through the gap analysis. Right? Your needs assessment is done through the gap analysis. What is your gap analysis? Lack of community mobilization for development. Two communities doesn't want to come together. We can work with two educators in two counties. One county says, no, we want to have our one educator. No, we don't want to share our educator with somebody else. That's one example. Neighboring one town says, we are better than them. Don't want to join hands. Second, unhealthy competition among neighboring communities. Everybody wants to pool the resources towards them, but don't want to combine together so that you can utilize the benefits together. Coming tourists together in both the towns, develop more ways that we can attract the tourists. That's the problem today. People's mindset. Do you remember? Only elderly people are there. Very conservative, traditional. Youth moved. Third, mistakenly pressed. Oh, sorry. So let's give a few examples. Generational difference in developmental ideology. These youth people don't know anything, not very experienced. I've seen the world, they don't know anything. So there is a generational differences. Do you know millennials have a different ideas? They are more born and raised with technology. And baby boomers are different in ideology. So there is a difficult to work between the two ideology, two different people in a generation, millennials or other. And then comfort with the status quo. People don't want to change. That's our psychology in our back of the mind, unconsciously. We don't want to change. It's a pain. Third, lack of diversity in business and industry. We don't have a full service town. Unwillingness of the youth to stay in the community. That's another gap analysis. Tenure in the community. Oh, he has not sharpened his teeth yet. He's from outside. What do you know? He came from outside. We are from here, We are yellow county people. We are, woodlanders. Yeah, they don't know. People have that, He has not, sharpened his teeth yet, something like that in America we say, He's outsider in this town. What he knows about our town? That's a challenge, right? And decreasing social capital. Networking among the people to work together, that's a social capital. That has been decreasing. So with that, once you use 3A, this is what you come with. First, impression program. Many of you in sociology probably first impression program. Second, rapid strategy, design charrette, design team. A group of people with all the expertise come to your town to find out what we can help this town to develop. First impression is you go to another town who has developed better and bring those good qualities in this town. That is called first impression program. Workforce development and education, because we are increasing people's ability and awareness to work together in community engagement. so that we can increase the business and industry. Social mobilization program to develop the social capital, partnership with the industries. And it is happening in California. See, rural California towns are said to be dying, so why little town of Gonzales doing so well? Town of Gonzales, they have been doing very well. It's an example from California. The sacrament will be September 16. Take home message for you. Avoid making logical leaps from problem to solution. Don't jump from problem to solution. Identify underlying causes of the problem. Do you remember we talked about gap analysis? That's underlying causes. That makes the result of the current situation. Needs assessment is more difficult than simply asking people what they need. Just going and what you need. It's more difficult than that because you have to understand causes and underlying problems, right? Discrepancy between the current and desired condition must be measured appropriately to identify a need. That's a take-home message for you. And I have a few things for you. Most of the time, around the nation, extension is limited for innovativeness. We are bounded with our tradition. Focus less on efficiency and best practices, but focus more on working differently. Try to think differently. That's why I try to do it here. Little bit thinking differently. Nothing is new under the sun, but how we can think differently. So let's see one thing that a man who thought differently made the most difference in America. See the high jump. Then barrel roll technique came for a long time. Then a guy from Oregon called Dick Fosbury, he brought a different thinking of high jump. Before Fosbury brought that technique, we could not jump more than 7.5 feet. Today, because of him, people have been able to jump 8 feet and more because of Fosbury technique. Because he didn't do anything, he thought differently. He didn't put a lot of his time in efficiency and best practices. He thought, how I can work differently. It's a challenge. We go on to easy route, right? See how bats always look at things? What happened if they look? Now they're looking upside down. If they look right up. Look things differently. If you want. In order to be irrepressible in your job, one must always be different. Wake up tomorrow morning, take a pen, write in your left hand, I will do one thing differently today. Make that habit. After 3 years, write every day in the morning, once you wake up and see, you don't have to write, you see, I'm going to do one thing differently today. Think one thing differently. Don't focus more on efficiency and best practices. You are not going to be innovative. Think about the history of all the people. Albert Einstein. Think about anybody, right? Think about the person who wrote the history of the time, who found the black hole. They all thought differently. Probably they were not accepted. When Dick Fosbury started it, people didn't follow it until he started 1967 for his own practice. 1968, he brought in gold medal in Mexico. And people followed it in 1978. People will follow you if you believe yourself. Transform yourself. Be better than yesterday. How? Seth Godin is a big marketing impressive speaker. He said, when people think differently, they have a fear of failure. Anyone who says failure is not an option has also ruled out the success. thinkers are wanted. If you are a thinker, if you can challenge yourself, if you want to be different, I'm looking for collaborators. I'm writing third book in evaluation, including this, thinking evaluatively. I already finished 37 pages. But I need a lot of thinkers in my business, in my job where I'm working in evaluation, and you are most welcome to join me hands. If you challenge yourself, if you want to think differently, if you think you focus in innovation, you are most welcome. Now, with that, I have 10 minutes of presentation about needs assessment, how needs can be categorized and latent needs. Do you want to go through that right now, and then you want to go through the activities? Which one you feel better? It's less than 10 minutes. Then I'll take your questions. Is that okay? Okay. Needs can be categorized, right? How? Bradshaw in 1972 said there are 4 different types of needs based on the nature of the need. And he also asked people to comprehensively look through all the needs to get the best picture of the community. Normative, relative, perceived, and expressed need. Normative needs are the needs determined by the government or authority. For example, no child left behind. EPA standard for the water quality. Health, education for Californian youth set by Department of Education. That's the standard. Anything you fall below, you have a problem, you need to find ways to solve that problem. What is the advantage of this need? Easy to use, reliability of the data because it is set by without any biasness. What is the limitation of this? Sometimes it is influenced by the political agenda and power of the people. Relative need is, let's say one program in health and nutrition has been very successful in Yellow County, and why should not we follow that in Volusia County who have a similar population? That's a relative need. Service in one community, you have a need. Similar people, they are doing it, we have a need. We have a problem, let's do it. That's the relative need. So, Volusia County people say, no, we have resources easy because it has been successful in Yellow County, health and nutrition program, or nutrient management, let's do it, easy. What is its limitation? You have to consider correctly the social pathology of the people. Types of people, their income standard, their social background should be similar to become successful. What is the felt and perceived need? Most of our extension program is based on felt and perceived need. You go and ask people what they need from you. You do survey, you do stakeholder group analysis, and you find it. Easy to come by. People will just say what they need. Easy, right? I need this, I need this. Easy to come by. Easy to use your resources. What are the challenges and weaknesses? Do you know about Dunning-Kruger effect? Because people have a different social background, everybody's need could be different. And sometimes people express their need, perceived need, more than they need. So usually they go by the one. We need this, we also need this, we also need this. I don't have a job, I need a car, this. Those kind of things are these weaknesses. And then, what is the express need? Express needs comes by when people's emotions usually hikes up, or there is some kind of, I don't say, not necessarily emotion, like Mormon cricket is attacking the crop. And then, Farm Bureau goes to the authorities say that we need to control it. So express need is when people's felt need is come as a demand of in terms of solving the problem, then that becomes an express need. Right? What are the strengths? Advantages? When people ask for their felt need and express it as a demand, they are ready to change the behavior. Easy. What are the challenges? Thinking that every person who has a felt need go and express their need for demand is wrong, because sometimes to access the service, challenges of the services, I gave you the best example of people would not like to participate in 4H activities because people think, going to online and registering for the program itself is a challenge. So oftentimes people have perceived need, but they don't express that. Now, it's a fun part. What is the latent need? Latent need is a desired yet. Desire not yet come into the surface yet. And your want could be sometime, we talked about that. Your want is one step up in the order of needs, and it could be possible solution to meet your latent need, right? Find your latent need. How it works? Need exists, but people are not aware of it. Even they are aware of it, they don't know how to articulate it. Any business and industry in the market has not been able to identify those latent needs yet. Right? They cannot articulate, it is in their unconscious mind, and the business and industry has not been work on that yet. But it will take your program, your industry to the next level. How to articulate that? Explore mostly two things: changing socio-demographics, population in California. With the changing socio-demographics and diversity, people's needs changes. Number two, observe the unmet need of the consumer. Conduct focus group with them, ask them what they like to see. That is the another way to do it. Unmet needs, ask consumers what they like to see what is the changing socio-demographics and technology is telling you. Then, these are the best examples of the latent needs. In 2006, I was here in California and I see people right from 4 a.m. in the morning in Sacramento, 600 people were in the line to buy the iPhone. Steve Jobs' iPhone changed the way the business was being done and took the business to the next level, changed the whole history of digital innovation. That was latent need he found out. Greek yogurt, it changed the whole concept of probiotic bacteria, need of probiotic bacteria, how to increase that in our body. Diet soda. Psychophysicists went around the big cities, collected people, and they gave them different options for the soda. What do you like about this? What do you like about this? What do you like about this? So people tested it. It's different. And many people like that one combination of the soda that came as a diet soda. Latent need of the people. People even did not know they have the need for diet soda. That's a latent need. 3M Post-it works. Change the way the files are moved around now. Right? You have to write over the file. Now you put a simple note, small note in the file, change the way it has been, right? If you have to sign something, you don't have to tell the people, put here, sign here, 3M Post-it note, right? Change the line. We should work more on latent need, and you can only do it working differently rather than working in your best practices and efficiency. How it works? Latent need will move the community to the next level. And programmers' experience is important if you are experienced in the field. And then community's involvement, asking them what they are looking for. That changing socio-demographics, what they are looking for. Right? And this is the definition of evaluative thinking. Throw out the presumption, I talk about that, and let's read and close it. Evaluative thinking is a habit of mind. You start from your personal life's experience. Habit of mind motivated by a desire to always do better, that is characterized by identifying assumption, developing learning questions, seeking evidence, and making informed decisions. Evaluation is more useful and actually used when program and organizational culture manifest evaluative thinking. Michael Patton from Minnesota in 2014. We have 20 minutes. These are the references and bibliography I used. Thank you very much for listening. I have 7 different items. You want to get into 3 or 4 groups. Vikram will hand it over to you. I'll hand it over to you too. Ag, farm advisors who want to work in ag related things. 4H agents, ag agent, Very simple, very simple. I ask you to read the situation, identify what is the problem, then what is your need, write one intended outcome, write one evaluative question. Very simple to practice your evaluative thinking. 4H agents, anybody would like to do with the youth, work with the youth? Okay, ag agents. What you want to do? There you go, take one. Anybody else?
Aggie.
Ag agents, I'm going to give you ag agents. I have a YAG and 4H. So one page sheet, very simple.